Well, that was one dry, dusty, gusty Leadville Trail 100, Fatty. It's been, 4 days since you crossed the finish, Fatty, but looks like you are still trying to get Leadville dirt cleaned from your skin.
And from under my eyelids and fingernails. And, oh, man, I needed a loofah, Hottie. I like every racer. I spend hours washing that dirt away. I mean, I don't know if you saw the photo of my head when I took off my helmet. I had these perfect vent-shaped dust tattoos on my scalp. It looked like I'm Dirt Avatar. And following the first of my post-race showers, the tub had a very distinct ring of dust around it, very grimy. The taste of dirt lingered for more than a day after I crossed the finish line. And if you could right now, in fact, just give me a minute while I grab a damp cloth and a glass of water. Thanks. I'm going to need that just to get through this show.
Please, please. And while you do that, we'll get in place. Get ready for that shotgun blast.
3, 2, 1.
Leadville, the podcast for the 100-mile mountain bike race presented by Shimano. This is the race wrap-up show for 2025, a collection of interviews, anecdotes, finish times, and storylines from the highest, hardest one-day mountain bike race in the country. I'm Michael Houghton, Hottie to most.
And I am Fatty. For the second year in a row, my family has a lot to celebrate from this Leadville 100. Melissa etched her name in Leadville lore by becoming the second fastest woman ever, and only one of 3 to ever break 7 hours. Melissa's brothers Zach and Blake both finished, and Lisa, a.k.a. The Hammer, became the second woman ever to finish 20 Leadville Trail 100s. And I am happy to say I got my 27th finish, riding bar to bar with my bride. So the dust, the dirt, the grime, it's all worth it.
Yeah, it was great celebrating with the whole family there because it really was this family finish that was great to see. Yep, warm, dry, dusty day on course for everyone in the Leadville Trail 100. Keegan, in fact, called it the hardest Leadville conditions he's ever had. And those conditions, especially that headwind from the bottom of Columbine to the bottom of Powerline, along with the loose dirt on Columbine, probably cost him a new record. Now, the conditions did not seem to prevent Kate Courtney and Melissa Rollins from going faster than the previous women's record, so congrats to them for powering through them. Looks like that temp, Fatty, on the day, we started with about 40 degrees at the start line, and we maxed out at about 75 around the Twin Lakes area, or a little after noon or so. So yeah, really warmed up. And the winds, that was a big story, right? They were calm in the morning, but they really kicked up out of the northwest, which creates a headwind inbound. The sustained wind was about 15 miles per hour headed home with gusts around 20.
No, the gusts felt like more, Hottie. I will just say that. The day warmed up fast. You may have noticed when you saw me at Twin Lakes Alternate, as you always do, that I was not wearing arm warmers because I think the first time ever, I took off my arm warmers when I got to Pipeline. 25 miles into the race, just a couple hours in. The day warmed up fast. It was not terribly hot. But any day that is where the sun shines in Leadville, with that little air, you feel it more. 75 sounds perfect, but at altitude, it feels hot.
Yeah, the whole week kind of felt warm, and I just kept going, uh-oh, we're going to need a lot of ice on race day at Twin Lakes Alternate, and we did. We had plenty. Well, as usual, we got to the start line bright and early. Actually, not so bright since it was dark out when we pulled out our microphone and checked in with some of you waiting for that shotgun blast. By the way, old Hottie's voice was a little rough in some of these interviews. That's because in addition to the dry, dusty conditions on race morning, there was smoke in the air. In fact, a resident told me a small fire had broken out on the east side of town. It was put out by 2:30 in the morning, but the smoke from it and other nearby fires was lingering. The air quality index had bumped up well above 100, which is unhealthy for people with pre-existing conditions. But by the afternoon, it dipped below 100, which is usually okay. But yeah, the whole week was kind of smoky and a little rough on the voice. But hey, what the heck? That's what we do. We have to power through. Let's go to the start line now and check in with a lot of you racers hoping for a buckle. What's your name?
Francisco Muñiz.
Okay, where are you from, Francisco?
I'm from Parker, Colorado, originally from Texas.
Awesome. Yep. You are in Brown, and you are here quite early.
I am. I wanted to get an early start, get the blood moving, and get going.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, this is, these temps don't feel as bad as they have in years past. So, you know the drill here, right? Have you been here before?
Yes, I supported somebody last year, and it was cold. And so I actually over put layers just to keep warm, and I'm like, now I could feel that my body's warm.
Right.
Yeah.
Francisco, do you have a time in mind today?
So I'm hoping to finish in 11 hours. So have them all marked down here where I have to be in each of the 8 stations and complete this.
That's awesome. What I'm interested to hear from people this morning is fueling plans. Like this whole carbohydrate revolution, people are like packing in more carbs. Do you try and target an amount of fuel, or will you today?
I will. So I was fortunate that my daughter actually helped me. So she actually set my eating habits for each hour. So by the time I hit Twin Lakes, everything I have on me, I will have it all completed and eaten, and get refilled there again to go up Columbine and do it again.
Yeah. And do you know how many carbs per hour you're going to try to get in?
So it's 400 carbs per hour, and then keep some protein. I brought some rice, some electrolytes.
Oh, really?
And so the rice helps me because it's easily digestible and it's easy for me to eat it.
Now, 400 sounds a lot. Did I hear that number correct, or is it 40?
So my
400 till you get to your next stop?
Next stop,
Okay.
correct.
And what's your first stop?
So it's my first stop. I'm just going to stop at the outbound station just to get more water. And then, because I'm only going up with one bottle. Okay. And then once from there, just head on to Twin Lakes and then refill again.
So 400 carbs to Twin Lakes then?
Yes.
That
correct.
sounds reasonable.
Okay, yeah.
I was worried about your gut there for a second.
Yeah. No.
Francisco, good luck today.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, how about you, sir? Your name?
Lloyd Logue.
And where are you from, Lloyd?
I'm from Panama City, Florida.
First time? Second time?
First time. I'm a virgin.
Right. What motivated you to do this strange but powerful and crazy race?
I started, I rode when I was younger, in my 20s. I went through a professional career, worked my butt off, very stationary kind of life, and went through a really bad hurricane. And I picked up a bike after the hurricane because my job and career had kind of changed because of it. And I started riding, and I realized I'm not a bad rider. And some of the guys I was riding with said, hey, you need to look at Leadville and maybe just sign up for the lottery if nothing else, and maybe you'll get in. So sure enough, we all tried to get in the lottery, and I'm the one group that I ride with, big group, I'm the only one that got in. Okay. So said, Hail Mary, let's do this.
Sure. If you don't mind me prying, which hurricane and what career got ruined by it?
It was Hurricane Michael. I'm actually a radiologist, and the hospitals and my businesses that I had outside the hospitals were heavily damaged, and I don't want to, it's a long story,
okay.
But my career changed pretty drastically at that point.
All right. Well, tell me about training in Florida. That's always something on the podcast we hear about, like how do I train in the Southeast? I got no hills, no mountains. What did you do?
So there's more hilly sections about 45 minutes an hour north of Panama City where I live. So we go up there. There's a lot of gravel riding. So we'd get on the bikes, do hill repeats, just long rides, 60 miles, trying to put in 2,000 or 3,000 feet of elevation, just doing hill repeats or whatever. And out in the blazing sun, that's the one thing that we have is humidity and heat. It's the poor man's altitude acclimation tool. So that's what I was using a lot, so.
Nothing poor about it, actually. Science backs it up now, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a time goal in mind today?
I just want to finish. I want the little buckle. I want 12 hours. If I can do that, I'll be very happy.
Yeah.
If I do better than that, fine.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Any words to Panama City as before you leave?
Thanks, guys, for supporting me, and I hope I do you right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good race. One more in line here. This is the Brown Corral I'm talking to, very early in the morning. Who are you, sir?
Joe Bischoff.
And where are you from, Joe?
Gallup, New Mexico.
New Mexico, awesome.
Yeah.
Not far, so you can
6
drive.
hours, yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, is this your first, second? How many times have you
This
been?
is my first time I entered the lottery, and I got in.
All right.
Yeah.
The lottery does work then.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Not everyone believes that, Tell me about training in New Mexico. It must be a good good spot to train for this race.
It gallops up about 7,000 feet. I'm coming off a win, 12-hour, 100% single track race, my first win. And I got 135 miles in 12 hours.
Nice.
100% single track, yeah. So I think I'm ready fitness-wise, but I just want to beat the 9-hour mark.
Yeah. Oh, you're going for sub 9. You want the big buckle.
Yeah.
Yeah, aim high, right?
Yeah.
I mean, why not, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm super interested in how this high carbohydrate thing has, taken over just us normal riders, right? We know what the pros are doing. We hear guys going up to 190 grams per hour. How about you? What's fueling like for you now? You obviously have good experience.
Basically, I'm like every 30 minutes, I'm trying to hit a gel. I have the hammer flasks with an equivalent of 5 gels in each. I have 2 of them. And then if I have to stop at the aid stations, you get more. Well, I have to get water probably, but so basically every 30 minutes. Yeah. However I feel. Yeah. Yeah.
So you're just trying to take a hit off it, and like how long will it take you to complete a gel flask?
A gel flask. So there's 5 servings in each. I mean, that's like about 2 hours.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Big buckle. Anything else? Yeah. Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Bike's all ready?
Yeah, bike's ready, man.
Yeah.
I'm my own mechanic, so.
That's good. Okay.
Takes up a lot of time working on your own bike, though.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But then it's your work, and okay, I've got it all. You're not putting your faith into anybody else but you.
Yeah. So new tires, new chain, and make sure there's no noises that drive me nuts.
Agreed. A quiet ride's a beautiful ride. Yeah. All right, have a good one out there.
Okay, thank you.
Are you fatty?
No, I'm hottie. Fatty, shorter, and balder than me, and less of a baseball fan.
I listen to you guys, so that's all.
Okay, what's your name?
Jim Watton,
Jim Watton. Where are you from, Jim Watton?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Do I spell it W-A-T-T-O-N so I can look up your results?
W-H-A-T-T-O-N.
Got it, okay. Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Tell me about riding in Nashville, training in Nashville.
750 feet of sea level. It's pretty tough.
And mountains, where do you go to find those?
Yeah, so we there's plenty of parks, places to go that have not as big as Columbine, but of course there's places to go that have the hills like that, and parks, recreational places. Plus we've got the Natchez Trace if you want to go from Nashville all the way down to Tupelo, Tupelo.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a good stretch of land. It's Bike is, when you ride on that, the bikes are first, cars are second, which is nice.
How did you get in?
Actually, my son and I, Foster, worked the race last year and then got in the lottery, yeah.
Oh, beautiful. That works, right?
Yeah, it does.
So are you going to ride together today?
No, I'm actually in the blue crowd, he's in the brown, and we may catch each other, we'll see.
Who's let's bring Foster over here real quick. Do we want to start a dad-son argument right here on the start line? Who's faster?
Nah, it's all good vibes today.
Okay.
No arguments.
Okay. So what's the goal time here?
Finish under 12 is the goal.
11.
Under 11 for dad.
Well, yeah, 11, 10, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we first timers?
No, second time.
And Foster?
First. Yeah, first timer.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. All right. So you not only raised him, but you told him how to do Leadville.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
a good hey, anybody out there, if it's a good father-son thing, father-daughter, or mom-son, mom-daughter, I think it's a good family thing.
Well, you mistook me for Fatty, and they've got, the Nelsons, one of the greatest daughters going. She's defending champ.
Yeah.
And they have 2 other sons. Yes, I'm in the race today. So
as Ken and Mary Lee say, this is part of the family when you're here, the Leadville family.
Yeah.
Right?
How about some names? Your name is?
Erica.
Last name Erica?
Wilson.
Okay, that's easy to spell so I can look you up later. Where are you from, Erica Wilson?
Santa Barbara, California.
You're a gaucho?
I'm actually a Mustang, Cal Poly.
Cal Poly, okay.
I live in Santa Barbara now.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Mrs. Hottie, my wife, went to Santa Barbara, and so did my sister. So they love the area. And you are?
Elsa Robertson.
Elsa Robertson, okay. I think
Also
I could.
from Santa Barbara.
Well, that makes it easy. And you ladies must be obviously friends, teammates. How did this all started?
Yeah, we have a women's mountain biking club in Santa Barbara called the Mountain Adoras. So we met through that, and then we both qualified at Sea Otter this year.
Oh, excellent. Okay, excellent. And how did the 2 of you meet right away, or did it take a little time?
I think I was in the club probably for a year before I rode with Erica for the first time. Yeah.
All right, tell me about training in Santa Barbara. I should probably know since I live right down the road, but tell me about the training there.
Yeah, we have a lot of big climbs. It's either flat coastal rides or climbing up into the front range, I guess, if you want to call it that in Santa Barbara. But yeah, we have plenty of 3,000 to 4,000 foot climbs. So I think that it actually suited us for this race more so than a rolling course.
Right, yeah. More so than being in Florida. No offense to the South, right? But right. So, is this the first time for you folks?
Yes.
Okay. So, how about a time goal? Do you have a time goal today?
I'm trying to finish.
Trying to finish. So, finish under 12 hours, get a little buckle?
Absolutely.
Do you have a belt picked out yet if you get that buckle?
I might need to buy a new belt. I don't wear a lot of belts.
What they finally started doing here is selling belts at the finish line, which is a nice little business opportunity. What I'm asking people about today is, fueling's become this big thing. The pros are sucking down all kinds of carbohydrates. How are you approaching fueling? Like, do you have a specific hour-by-hour strategy and grams of carbs you're trying to hit?
Yeah, I do. I've definitely tried to up that over the last couple of years. I've been able to get between 80 to 90 grams of carbs an hour at the last couple of races, so that's my goal. Definitely it's going to be hard to keep up with just eating and drinking enough throughout the day, but I have a plan, so we'll see how much I can stick to it.
I know, it's kind of the whole point of the race is drinking and eating. Then the pedaling comes second, right?
Yes.
Tell me about your fueling strategy. What are you going to try to target?
Mine's pretty similar. I'm also aiming for around 80 grams of carb per hour, and then supplementing with salts and electrolytes. And then we've got a great crew at Outward Bound and Twin Lakes to split up our food so we don't have to carry too much at a time. And that should help pace myself too by only carrying what I need to eat.
Awesome. Okay, well, here's to great fueling and great riding. Good luck out there. Go Santa Barbara. Go Mustangs.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, we listened to your podcast, I think, on the drive out, so I recognize your voice.
Okay, well, that's not the point of all of this. The point is you, too, so go out there and have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for all of you lining up and getting going there. Let's check in with how some of these folks did that we heard from in those interviews. Francisco Munoz, his fueling strategy worked. Great for you, Francisco. 12:36 was his time. Lloyd Logue, first-timer, got him via the lottery, did his hill repeats in the heat. That worked, 11 hours, 27 seconds. Joe Bischoff from Gallup, New Mexico, he wanted that sub-9, missed it, but now he has a reason to come back. 9:56 was his time. The father-son team from Nashville, Tennessee, Jim and Foster Watton. Dad, unfortunately, was pulled at Powerline inbound, but evidently he taught son well. Foster brought it in 11 hours and 13 minutes. Now, our mountain adorers, that is, from Santa Barbara, Erica Wilson, 11 hours, 13 minutes. Unfortunately, her partner, Elsa Robertson, was pulled at Powerline inbound. So, folks, some of them have a reason to go back, maybe finish off the job, while others celebrating along with you, Fatty. So, a good day on course, and thanks to all for participating in those early morning interviews. Not a great way to start your day. Have some strange guy come up, point a microphone in your face and try to get some thoughts.
Anything to distract you from the race nerves, I say, Hottie.
Okay, feed zones and some near misses. One of the topics I think we saw on the day. First of all, Twin Lakes Alternate, which is where we station, has really grown in size, Fatty. Like seemed to be a lot more people out there. Now, we missed Twin Lakes Alternate last year in favor of the dam. We went back to Alternate this year, and man, that area really has grown in size as far as the number of people there. Parked cars stretch almost all the way down to Highway 24 there, approaching Lost Canyon. That's crazy. We've never seen that before. Crewing was no longer allowed on the Twin Lakes Alternate double track. That forced more crews onto the main road itself. So yeah, we saw a lot more activity, action, near misses on the main road itself. Some people, I will say this, did eventually set up on that double track. They weren't supposed to, but there they were anyhow. On the main road, like I said, Lost Canyon, there were tons of near misses between riders and crew, and riders pulling out and into crew stations, with riders just trying to ride through. So a lot of swerving, near misses, call-outs, even some actual bumps and crashes. There were only 4 porta potties in place. That was, I think, a miss. We needed more of those lines. In addition to a long line of cars, we had a long line of people hanging out at the porta potties. Funny note, though, I did see one racer zooming down the double track, skipped the right turn in the Lost Canyon, went flying right for the porta potties. So he made use of them. Hopefully people got out of the way and allowed him to, do what he needed to do there. I love those moves. They're pretty good. So it was a day to be on your toes for those racing and for those of us in the crew zone. Team Hottie ran a massive support outlet at Twin Lakes Alternate with riders ranging from super fast pros to 13-hour finishers. We crewed for Melissa, Cole Patton, Nate Whitman, Blake Rollins, Fatty, and Lisa the Hammer, the 2,000-miler Lisa the Hammer. We also hosted other crew who were supporting a couple of riders. In addition to me and Mrs. Hottie, we also got a big assist from Leadville veteran Dave Houston. Want a big shout out for Dave. Thanks for being there, Dave. And my friend Mark Prince stepped in when things got busy for us, so thank you, Mark. At Pipeline, our crew captain was Dave Thompson, and super feeders, Fatty's daughters, who we affectionately call the twins. Well, because they are twins. What are their names, Fatty? Please shout them out.
Katie and Carrie.
Katie and Carrie, yeah.
They love coming to Leadville every year and crewing for us. We love having them there. Honestly, more and more, this race is about family for me. And I had such a great time at the feed zones this year, Hottie. Lisa and I weren't worrying about a sub-9 finish. It wasn't really in the cards for us. And we're both experienced and fit enough that we were pretty confident we were going to get a sub-12, barring, hail or whatever. When Keegan talks about the worst weather he's ever experienced, that's because he wasn't there in the year 2000 when things got truly biblical on us. But we knew we had a sub 12 is in the books as long as everything went well. And so we got to spend a little bit of time rolling, talking to people, and having fun. It was such a luxury. Really, it was. I love that all of you were wearing your mechanic shirts that matched Lisa's and my and Blake's and Zach's kit. Ray Landry also wearing that kit, which was super awesome. We'll talk more about him in just a second. Big kudos to DNA for great design and delivery on that. I just had a ball visiting with you and with my kids and with my friends. I mean, we were still racing, but I don't think I've ever appreciated the fun of the race as much as I have this year. When you dial it back 2%, your enjoyment of the day goes up like 40%.
I'm glad you had that experience because as you and I were talking just before we started hitting recording, our sense in the feed zone was that the tension was a little higher just because I think of the number of near misses we were seeing and the crowds involved, and the wind. I think the wind and the weather kind of play a factor in all that. So, but it was great. You had a very interesting new bladder system set up that had some complexity, but some reason built in behind it too.
Yeah, I was experimenting this year. I had an incredibly complicated crew project I gave you the day before the race to work with and outfit me with my experimental dual bladder USWE race pack. The idea is genius, albeit a little bit MacGyver, in my opinion. Take a small race pack, the regular Race 2.0 race pack, and have a 2-liter bladder in there for drink, which I only fill with 1 liter, and a smaller 1-liter bladder where I put my gel plus some water to dilute it, make it a little thinner. I'm doing all of this with existing commercial products, and it is a little bit complex. And in the end, I had a difficult time getting anything through that hose. Maybe because at 11,000 feet, it is hard. I mean, you're already having a rough time breathing. But you did a fantastic job setting up with it. I will talk more about this maybe once I get it a little closer to nailed down. But I will say, it isn't like I just didn't have any food or anything to drink on Columbine, because I did bring with me my backup plan, which was the other nice thing about this year. I was able to do a little bit of experimenting because I was willing to carry my backup plan with me. So,
all right, as we talked about many times on the show, having a crew plan is key to executing hand-ups and pit stops. And we had a good day with all of that. We were able to track our pro athletes precisely because this year the pros were wearing transponders that sent out their location every 5 seconds. There was an app to go with, so it was a good system. In fact, it worked well all day. For the rest of the athletes, we had to rely on good old math and ETAs and guesswork to, try and determine when our athletes would be showing up. That's fine. It works. We had a pretty good idea, but it does cause for some consternation, some standing around and guessing, right? Fatty, I may have found something worth trying in addition to your new bladder system, and this is something we've seen pros do. Matt Clark, maybe he did too, and he took a little cue for them. I talked to Matt at the finish about his unique way of communicating with his crew. Matt Clark, where are you from, Matt Clark?
I'm from Austin, Texas, by way of Santa Fe.
Leadville sees a lot of folks from Texas, don't they? I mean, a lot of fans of the race down there, it seems like.
Yeah, the cycling scene out there is amazing. We don't have the elevation out there, but we got some nice rolling hills, and we got the heat. Yeah. The heat's second best to 10-2.
Well, Matt, you big buckled today, right? What was your time?
I don't know the final time. I'm guessing 8:40-ish.
Beautiful. Yeah. Nice. That's a great time.
Yeah.
Well, I stopped Matt for the most bizarrest of reasons. Matt, in addition to having a Garmin head unit on his stem here, also had his phone with a quad lock attached to the top tube. Now, I guess there's lots of reasons to have your phone with you out there. Matt, why did you have your phone at the ready today?
For today, it was to contact my crew, let them know that I was, inbound. I only made 2 stops today, so I wanted them to be ready. I was kind of like piggybacking off of a friend's crew, so I was kind of like a little hesitant to just go out there, no phone, and just wing it. So, and I normally run it on my gravel bike, so I just used to it.
Yeah. So how do you have to reach down and type a message to them? How does it work?
Hey Siri.
Hey Siri.
That's it. Hey Siri pulls it up. I can shoot a quick text inbound 2 miles out.
Okay.
And then that way they know that I'm ready.
Yeah. Okay. And it's good to know that Siri doesn't object to somebody ordering their feeds up on the fly.
No, that's what she's there for, man. Make it, make it a little bit easier.
Yeah. Now you're not wearing any headsets or anything. Siri can hear you from the phone attached to the top tube.
Yep. You got to lean down a little bit, but generally, if there's not too much ambient noise, a little bit of road noise, she'll pick up.
Yeah. So where were the 2 feed stops?
I stopped at Twin Lakes. Actually, no, I didn't. I was going to stop on Twin Lakes. I had enough in my pack, so I just climbed Columbine, came back. First stop was at Twin Lakes outbound, and then I stopped somewhere to take a leak.
So you didn't tell Siri about the leak, just the one stop.
Nah, that one I felt like I could do by myself.
Yeah, okay. Well, look, we love the creativity here. Matt's riding a Santa Cruz.
Highball.
Highball,
That's
okay.
Keegan Swenson's rig last year.
Okay.
Now everyone's running full suspension, so unfortunately I'm going to have to tell my wife I might need a new bike.
Yeah, and so the iPhone hung on despite the hardtail ride.
Yeah, it did. The quad lock's actually really, really great. Sometimes it gets a little bit worn out, so after like a year, whatever, taking it on and off, I just get like a new case or the new adapter, but it's solid.
Yeah. Any other fun little things you've come up over your time of riding and racing?
Have fun with it, man. Just, the journey is all like the training and like meeting people, talking to people, being outside. It's all about the journey. And then like to put everything together on a day like today, literally the perfect ride. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. All right, Matt, congratulations. Thank you. Thanks, Siri.
Hey, thank you.
All right, congrats to Matt and his crew. Of course, this kind of communication is not new. We saw a couple pros do this at Unbound. I like Matt's approach because he was able to keep his hands on the bars and head up while messaging ahead to his crew. Good thinking, Matt. Speaking of new going into Leadville, drop bars were a huge point of conversation and at times contention. The shift to drops in the pro field is well underway. And while the record books reflect the fastest times at Leadville both being done on flat bars, the pro field seems to have taken to the idea that in order to keep up, you have to get lower and get narrower, and a drop bar system can really help with that. For the citizen racer, you and me, drop bars are a much, much tougher call. I mean, when you're flying down Powerline or Columbine, most of us need all the control we can get our hands on, and that usually means putting our hands on a set of flat bars. I did run a poll a few months back asking on the participants page who planned on running drop bars. I got one person who said yes, so I decided it wasn't a topic, at least at the time, to pursue. Still, I figured on race day, I would see riders going with drops, and I did. I caught Brandon Lee of Redondo Beach, California, as he was entering his corral with his drop bar setup to get his take.
Brandon, you're taking on the new challenge, drop bars at Leadville. How did you arrive at that?
I am. I decided after looking at the course that I wanted to try and do something kind of crazy. I'd been in the market of building a gravel bike for a little while. So I ultimately decided on an S-Works Crux with a Rudy front fork with 40 millimeters and a dropper post. I've raced this bike all summer, everything from Unbound to now Leadville.
Okay. And how did it feel? You've obviously been out reconning the course a little bit. How did it feel out there?
It feels great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super fun. I kind of enjoy riding, undersized or underbuilt bikes a little bit for the challenge. I think having somewhat of a cyclocross background and an enduro background, it's not too bad on the chunk, but things hold up pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. What kind of reaction do you get from people as you say, "Hey, I'm going to go drop bar, gravel bike, front suspension"? What are they? What kind of looks? Comments do you get?
I get everything from you're absolutely crazy to I think that might be the right bike. And then the first question is always how's it go down power line?
Yeah. And how does it go down power line?
It's not quite as enjoyable as being on a full suspension bike, but it still goes pretty well. The 50 tires are pretty great. They're kind of like a 2.2 essentially. Okay. Knock on wood, hopefully this thing gets me across the finish line in a few hours.
Right. So you did this more for underbiking and the challenge than aerodynamics and the speed? Am I getting that right?
Absolutely. This is like such a historic race. When I was racing as a junior, I'd heard about the Leadville 100. And when I look at this bike, it kind of reminds me of the bikes I raced as a junior back in the 90s and those guys that were racing, Leadville back in the day. So in its own way, this is like a modern homage to those guys that first did Leadville.
Sure, yeah. You could have, I guess, picked a hardtail or a full suspension and put drop bars on it. Why did you go this way?
I ultimately went this way for, the cost purposes. Looking for one bike to kind of race all year, from everything from Unbound to here to Big Sugar Gravel late in the year. So with this, I'm pretty stoked with how it just turned out, and I've had a ton of fun riding this thing down, backcountry roads in Iowa to some, double blacks down in Bentonville. So
that's awesome. Okay, how many times have you done Leadville?
This is my first time doing Leadville.
Well, you really are taking on a challenge. And what kind of time are you hoping for?
I'm hoping to go right around 8 hours, maybe sub 8 hours.
I'll look you up. Maybe I'll see you at the finish line. Good luck, Brandon.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, Brandon did bring it home in 8:53, so big buckle for Brandon. Standing in Twin Lakes Fatty, or at least Twin Lakes Alternate, I counted at least a dozen non-pro bikes go by with drop bars. We've seen this in the past. We've seen gravel bikes out on course with drop bars, but this seemed to be on the increase, and especially on mountain bikes. A lot more mountain bikes with drop bars. Like I said, drops were a point of conversation and contention. After this race, I spoke with one veteran who told me that many of the close calls he witnessed out on course were caused by riders on drop bar mountain bikes.
Yeah, I will say, Hadi, I saw, was witness to more crashes this year, both the aftermath of, seeing someone crash or actually seeing the crash itself than I've ever seen before in this race. But I think I did not see any of those actually with drop bars. The course was causing a lot of crashes. So I will say it was real mountain biking conditions. I was personally very glad to have 2.4 Maxxis Recons front and back. They gave me a ton of confidence. You can't really necessarily say, was it drop bars? Was it the course? Was it that there's always a lot of new people out there? Was it the bars? I don't know. But I do figure, honestly, it's got to be a mix. In the end, I would say it isn't drop bars, it isn't flat bars, it is, are you comfortable? Is your fit good? Are you used to riding with what you have set up? Remember, Keegan elected to ride with flat bars, even though he had a drop bar bike a couple of years ago when he set the record. He didn't ride with flat bars that year because he felt he wasn't ready. He wasn't comfortable enough with those drops. I would say be wise like Keegan, right? Make sure you are riding with a bike that you are as comfortable on as you can possibly be.
But I do think we need to ask ourselves this question. Could the race series ban non-pros from using drop bars? I mean, they prohibited aero bars and bar ends. Why not drop bars? Prior to the race, during a media briefing, a Lifetime official said they had no plans to ban drops, but the official did ask the media to emphasize in their stories that drop bars really should be left to the pros. So, I mean, it sounds like it's on the radar for the race series as what to do about this. Yeah, we've heard from a lot of people on this topic. Pros, amateur racers, bike fitters, media. But, we wanted to hear from a different voice on this topic, someone with historical perspective and technical knowledge. Luckily, we found both in Matt Shriver. Matt is a Leadville veteran and a name you might recognize from the days when Lance showed up on the start line trying to put an end to Dave Wiens' consecutive streak. Matt now works for Envy as sports marketing manager. I would think right now at Envy, it must be exhilarating, very busy. When you've got the world number one rider running around the planet, winning everything. It must. First of all, congratulations to the whole team on that thing.
Yeah, thank
But
you.
it must be pretty great. I mean, winning is great. Right?
Yeah, it's massive for the company. It's having a team like UAE, the men's team, also the women's team. Winning the Tour de France and being a part of that is really special. Even just winning a stage or having a jersey, but to win the Tour again, it's incredible. So yeah, it's not easy to be supporting teams at that level, but we're really proud to do it. And we learn a ton from the athletes and the teams. So.
Excellent. Well, we're at a mountain bike event, so let's talk about mountain biking. Now, Matt, folks, you may remember the name if you've watched the movies, the Race Across the Sky movies. Matt was featured prominently in the 2009 film. He also raced in 2010. Tell us what your role was back then, Matt, here at the Leadville Trail 100.
Yeah. Well, in 2009, I was racing, and it was to try to go under 7 hours with Lance at that time. So there was a group of us to try to support that effort, and it was a different time. We were riding 26-inch wheels, double chain rings, probably 2.0 tires, I think we had carbon rims and, so things, but... and
tubeless had come around because I recall Lance got a puncture coming down.
Yeah, we were on tubeless then, but, and then 2009, I was on my own. I was still working for Fort Lewis College and riding with the Fort Lewis colors. But riding for myself, but the level had changed a lot. Just the prestige of Leadville 100. People wanted to race, so the field was really deep. I had a better day, but and a faster time, but a worse result. In 2009 I was third, and then I think in 2010 I was seventh, I believe.
Right. So. Excellent. Well, 2009, we're here to talk to Matt about drop bars on mountain bikes because Envy makes both mountain bike bars and drop bars, and they sponsor a lot of athletes, some of whom are putting drop bars on their mountain bikes. Now, of course, you, Matt, were there in one of the seminal moments for the Leadville 100 in drop bars, and that was when Travis Brown, I think who was a teammate of yours, set up his full suspension Trek with drop bars, right?
Yeah, he did. And that was really his approach to the race. Was he was going to be out front. He was going to be in the wind a lot. He wanted to have a position that was a little bit more aerodynamic. So he has the skills to handle his bike. So it made sense. It was a good setup for him. Yeah. And it was, you've seen drop bars on mountain bikes even in the 90s, and it pokes its head back up every now and again at specific races. So
right, like a lot of cyclists of our time, you were probably influenced by John Tomac, who also was one of the early adopters of this whole scene, right?
Oh yeah. I couldn't shred as hard as Tomac, but definitely tried the drop bars occasionally, but couldn't handle the bike like Johnny T. But
yeah. And then drop bars on mountain bikes kind of went away, and we all
we're satisfied with flat bars. In fact, a lot of us went very wide with flat bars.
Yep.
And that's since kind of come back. Right now we're seeing, especially for a race like this, if you are on flat bars, narrow them up a little bit just to keep your shoulders and hands narrow.
Really, it depends on the course, and the conditions, and the terrain, just the terrain that you're riding. You wouldn't want to ride a drop bar in a World Cup cross country. Not in today's racing. It just would not be, it wouldn't go well. It'd probably not be the result that you would expected. The bike wouldn't handle the same. But Leadville's a race where you really, the drop bar or the flat bar, you're kind of playing to your strengths. So as a rider, you're making the choice based on what your strengths are or what your weaknesses are, So if you can handle the bike really well and you're confident descending on a drop bar and you think you're going to be maybe in the wind a little bit alone, then the drop bar is a good decision. If you're maybe not as good of a descender and you're trying to use your technical, have the flat bar support your, let's say, subpar descending skills, then that's the option. Also, I think some of the disadvantages of, let's say, a drop bar are the climbing position. It's just a little narrower. You don't have the leverage. Your shoulders are your hands are narrower, and those are the benefits too. When you're on the flats, your hands are narrower. You're a little more aerodynamic. So, those are kind of the things that you're weighing in. Is like you're doing this balancing act of what's going to be best for my skills, what's going to benefit me the most, and is that a drop bar or a flat bar? And each part, there's really not a wrong answer, I don't think. It's kind of the preference for how it's going to help each rider personally.
Okay. Well, let's say we decide to make the leap and we want to do drop bars. I mean, I think, folks, if you do make this decision, this podcast is coming out after Leadville, so that's fine. You're not going to rush to make this decision, but give yourself a lot of time to get acclimated to them and keep an open mind. Like, don't force yourself into the decision just because you bought them and put them on the bike. Make sure they work for you.
Or just because you see the pros doing it. It may not be the right setup for you. They're professional riders, spend a lot of time tweaking their setup. They're trying different bars. They're trying different bar widths, different stem lengths. It's a process. So the fit's going to be a little different. And if you do decide to go either way, really, but traditionally you're on a flat bar. So if you do decide to go to a drop bar, give it some time, give it some good testing, make sure it's the right setup for you.
Okay, let's talk about specific drop bars then. You can feel free to point out stuff in the NV lineup.
Yeah.
What is, obviously we have one-piece systems now. You still have two-piece systems. We have flared out bars.
Yeah.
Well, let's first of all talk about this. The strength of the handlebar itself.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any issue, anything to be concerned about? Impact, the amount of pounding that's going on in a drop bar?
No, barring a crash, things. There's no difference in safety. We're not concerned with descending in the drops. We're not concerned with, the stiffness of the bars, or let's say they all pass the same testing. They're tested rigorously, no question. A lot of the drop bars are raced in gravel, which is also rough. So there's no concern with racing drop bars in a Leadville 100 mountain bike race. No.
Okay. So in the drop bars in your lineup, if you want to just use those as an example, tell us where we might start looking, especially for somebody who's just tipping their toe in the water on this.
Yeah, there's different options, right? There's, you could run a gravel type drop bar, and that just has a lot more flare in the drops, and that gives you stability and handling. You can still get a lower position, but it's wider, and that wider hand position in the drops just kind of like a really wide mountain bike flat bar, but it gives you more stability. And then in the middle there's like the two-piece aero system, the road bar with our aero stem, internally routed cables, and it's not quite. It has a different drop shape. Doesn't have the same amount of flare as like the gravel bar, but it's a great option. And then you can go full aero and be on the one-piece bar, the SES Pro bar, and that's the lightest bar, and it's the most aerodynamic bar. It comes in different lengths, but yeah, it's a one piece, so it's not as adjustable. You can't do any rotation. You just got to be happy with that.
And taping the tops of a one-piece bar, it seems like it would get quite bulky, and you'd probably give up your aerodynamic.
You give up a bit of the aero, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You do, yeah. So you really only want to, if you're taping the aero bars, you generally tape to the hoods, and not much past the hoods, like kind of on the just on the curve there, where your palm would sit, and then the rest of the bar is bare to maintain that aerodynamics. Yep, correct.
You pointed out fit can be a very difficult thing to get over when you're going this way, because mountain bikes are just not designed with drop bars in mind. Maybe one day we'll get there, or maybe one day we'll get handlebars. Do you see that? Do you see companies maybe starting to address this? Is there enough need there where they go, is there a mountain bike specific drop bar that can be made, and is it worth it, the time in R&D?
That's a good question. I think that's probably something that is still to be seen. But a race like this, where if we start seeing a bunch of drop bars, and then like drop bars with funky stems and things, then yeah, maybe there is an opportunity there to make a product that's giving the riders the aerodynamics that they're searching for, but still having good handling and compliance.
So for two-piece systems, are we free to mix and match outside of the 35 mil mountain bike stems and road handlebars or drop bars?
The road bars are still 31.8.
Okay.
Yep. So as long as you have a compatible stem, we make stems too that are compatible with our own handlebars, but you're free to mix and match. Yep.
Okay, pretty much everything you make in the drop bar lineup then is available to a mountain biker who might be considering doing this. Okay, good. Yep. That's good to hear. Okay. Matt Shriver, would Matt Shriver try to do this?
It's a good question. It's interesting. I think personally, I'm a little bit of traditionalist. I'd probably stay with the flat bar.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's just more that I'm comfortable on it. I've spent more time on a flat bar than I have on a drop bar descending off road. I've spent plenty of time on cyclocross bikes with drop bars, and I think I would stick with a flat bar. Okay. That's just my preference.
Well, Matt, thanks for the insights on all this and the little history lesson too.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
All right, it was great catching up with Matt and getting his thoughts on the latest Leadville mountain bike tech trend. By the way, on Saturday morning, I ran into Matt again at Twin Lakes Alternate, giving feeds to the NV-sponsored athletes. He's pretty handy with the hand-ups, too, so good to see Matt out in the feed zone. Okay, we always like to wrap up this recap show by highlighting the days and times of racers we either know or who have a connection to this show.
All right, let's start with Melissa. Second fastest time for a woman in Leadville 100 history. 6:59.16. That means she beat the old record by Annika Longvad, which was 6:59.24 seconds and had stood for 10 years. Melissa is one of the 3 women now who has broken 7 hours of Leadville. Of course, there's Annika, there's Melissa, and the third is Kate Courtney, who is the 2025 winner, and her time was 6:48.55. Incredible. 2 other women we've had on the show, Hannah Otto and Sarah Sturm, were also in the Leadville top 10.
All right, the pro men. Let's see. Let's start with John Gaston. He's been on the show a couple times. A great interview. The Schemo racer, John Gaston. I did see him at the finish line. This is his 4th podium, his 3rd second place at Leadville. It's one of like 2 or 3 races he does all year. He did suffer a crash at Twin Lakes Dam alternate. In fact, I saw it. He was coming off a mountain, moving pretty fast, and then somebody with a camera walking like backwards with his back to traffic walked right into John, and John went down.
Oh.
John was kind of racing with Simone Pilote at the time. I remember Simone kind of came by me, he looked back, he saw John on the ground. John eventually caught Simone, though, and took second place. But this crash probably cost him a sub-6. He was 6 hours, 51 seconds. It also cost some stitches. He had 5 stitches by the time I caught him up with him at the finish line. So, John, tough day, but, man, good on you for sticking with it. And hopefully they clean up this feed zone traffic area. Payson McKelvin, who we've had on the show too, best mustache in mountain biking, best mountain bike podcast probably going, one of them at least. 5th overall, 6 hours and 15 minutes. You know, he also was coming back from injury. Seattle crash took him out of Unbound, but he's bounced back, so have a nice placing at the Leadville 100. Cole Patton, 11th. 6 hours, 22 seconds. He doesn't know me, but I handed him up 2 ice socks at alternate.
Nice.
Somehow he knew to grab them from me. I don't know how, but congratulations to Cole there.
You have an honest face.
Yeah, well, and he's easy to spot. He's in the Stars and Stripes. He's your National Marathon Mountain Biking champion. Alexei Vermillion, a good friend of the show, runs the Ground Up series. He got 14th. A tough day for Alexei, but he was down 20, I think he said it was 25th or maybe even a little lower than that. So he battled back from Columbine on home, to get in that top 15 spot. Finally, a super friend of the show, a great technical mind, a great analytical mind for all things gravel and mountain biking. That's Dylan Johnson. Now, Dylan was 27th overall. He was the 16th Lifetime Grand Prix to cross with 6 hours, 49 seconds. That's not the story, though. Dylan had been hit by a truck in late May, fractured his tibia. He was off the bike for a month, missed Unbound. He was really not having a great spring at all with this injury. But Mr. Analytical was there at the finish line, and he was driven to tears as he cried. This is a guy like Fatty. He is, you wouldn't figure for him to be full of emotion, but that moment got him when he was able to cross the Leadville finish line. That was it. He lost it. So, Dylan, congratulations. Thanks for hanging in there, and we're glad to see you back on the bike, doing your riding and telling us how magical, wide tires are on a gravel bike and drop bars are on a mountain bike.
Let's talk a little bit about Brendan Johnston. Good friend, bad day. He coming down power line. He had what we could call a catastrophic rim failure. Another racer dislodged a rock. No fault of that racer's, no fault of Brendan's. It hit Brendan's rear rim in just the wrong way, cracking it, ruining it. He rode on this broken rear rim, like on skis, essentially, back into, into Pipeline. His day was done. Good guy. Hung out at the finish for Mel, for me, for Lisa, for Blake, for Zach, for all of us. We'll have more details on his experience in our sister Marginal Gains podcast coming out at the end of this week.
Mm-hmm. A true sportsman. He was there, for everyone else when his day didn't go right. All right. The rest of us, the non-pros, the citizen racers, the people this show is for. There were 1,668 of you lined up and 1,307 official finishers. A little over one under 1,200. So 1,199 people buckled, and we had 259 big buckles with a question mark because there's some people right on the cusp there at 9 hours. That's up to the race series to try and tell somebody comes in at 9 hours and 1 second whether or not they deserve a big buckle. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision because that's a tough one. All right, let's get to some of our some folks we know out there on course. First of all, Ryan Cross, who I saw at the Expo this year. Ryan is normally very busy on race day, running Lifetime or the race series or the Grand Prix social media stuff. But he mounted a bike this year and I knew he was a good rider, but 7 hours and 19 minutes, that is something else. So
that's and that includes a wrong turn he took during the day. And He is now a dad to be. So exciting news and a wrong turn.
Two brothers that we've had on the show in season 6. That's Jackson Wiggins and brother CJ. Good days for them. Jackson had a 7:23 and CJ a 7:53. Pretty amazing. Good friend of the show, great friend of the show. He was on this season, and I think the last 3 or 4. That's Nate Whitman.
We've lost track that many times.
I know. He's practically a co-host at this point. Congratulations to Nate for finishing again. 22, I think it is. 7 hours, 34 minutes at 49 years old.
Oh, that's incredible. Nate's my hero. He and I used to do the race. I've said this before. Back before either of us were fast, and one of us got very fast indeed. Jonathan Lee, another person who we can't even count how many times he's been on the show. Also, of course, the host of the Ask a Cycling Coach Trainer Road podcast, did a really good episode very recently with sort of wrapping up and comparing his race with Keegan. Jonathan Lee, 7:43. His target was to basically get sub 8. He got it in spades. Todd Murray, 8:38, another sub 9 for who is now the only person who has finished every single Leadville 100. John Callahan, very unfortunately, did not make it this time. Sad moment for one of the only 2 3,000-mile racers. He crashed on Sugarloaf inbound, had to be taken to a hospital. I don't have any more details than that, but it was his first DNF in 31 years. I understand he is out of the hospital and recovering. Obviously, we wish him the best. And then going to counterpoint this bad news piece with really good news piece, exceptional good news piece. Good friend of the show, Ray Landry, a multi-time finisher. I know he's working toward his 10-year buckle. He's often one of the coaches at the training camp. Got a PR, 8:41. But here's the real story. Also, he got engaged. He got engaged in Leadville. And from what I understand, is going to be married by Ken Klober. So, very, very much someone who is heart and soul in this race. Love to see that. Congratulations, Ray.
Congrats, Ray. I think that buckle belongs to your bride, though.
Yeah.
Sorry, buddy. You got to turn that one over. You have enough.
Oh, yeah.
of them.
Big buckle for the bride.
Right. Okay, Dave Schell of Best Bike Split. We had him on in season 7. Now, Best Bike Split is a way you can plug in some numbers, and it will help predict a finishing time for not only the Leadville 100, but lots of courses out there. Obviously, Dave probably put it to use, and hopefully he figured in his calculations that he would come home in 9 hours and 25 minutes because that's what he did. So congrats to Dave.
I think we all want to know, did he actually predict that exact time?
Right. Marvin Sandoval, he was on in season 4. You know, Marvin is an absolute Leadville legend. He's done the Lead Challenge a number of times. He's a great racer. He's also the owner of Buttercup. That's the, do they call them donkeys or mules up there? I'm not sure. Maybe mule, correct? That's the race they run on Boomtown days where people run with mules.
Burros,
and
I think.
Burros, there we go.
Asses.
That's what I'm looking for. Right, asses would be correct. And Buttercup is owned by Marvin, and Buttercup won this year, and Marvin had a great year on course with his wife. In fact, they both crossed together at 9 hours, 56 minutes.
Very nice. Love seeing couples do this race together. Let me tell you a little bit about how some of the folks in my family did. One of Lisa's sons, her eldest son, Zach Rollins, finished his first Leadville 100 with a 10:30. I will say that one of the standout moments of my day was when Lisa and I caught Zach as we marched up Columbine, saw a jersey that looked a lot like ours, talked with him for a little while. He was saying he was completely blown, but then, you know, we marched on by because that's the kind of family we are, left him to his own devices, but he flew by us on the descent, and we did not see him the rest of the day. I just want Zach to know his first finish is a minute slower than my first finish. Let me also say, Hammer put on a masterclass in cramp management this year on the power line. She could feel those cramps coming, but after, the mandatory hike for most of us, all but the very fastest of us and the very most bullheaded of us, up that power line wall, she got back on her bike and kept up a super light cadence and kept cramps at bay for the entirety, for 3.5 miles of the power line, and cleaned the rest of this incredible climb, more or less. It is, it turns out 20 years of experience of riding and knowing how it's done makes a real difference. And then one more for the family here, Blake Rollins. He was the last person to get a finish time this year. He took a lot of video. He made a number of phone calls during this day. He had a great time. And he is also, I might say, in chronic pain from a back surgery that did not go great, and is looking forward to getting that repaired. Nevertheless, he did not quit. He just kept on going. He is a bullheaded kid. And on this day, that served him very well. Sheriff Heath Speckman, good friend of the show. He's been on a number of times. He has ridden in front of our group ride with his cop car lights flashing a number of times. He got a 1046. Congrats to him. I am assuming, haven't talked to him in a little while, but I assume that he is metering out his efforts for another Leadman. Good luck to Heath if that is what you're doing. I hope it is. I really I'll be paying attention to the time splits on the run, as always. And then one kind of amazing event, Doc Wenmark, our good friend of everyone who does this race. Everyone knows Doc. He had a bad day. Had in some pothole or just a bump, something bad happened with his neck, and he lost feeling in on one of his sides. Was not feeling good. The pain was intense. Couldn't hold up his head. He had to be taken off the course. He had to be medically eliminated from the race. Super unfortunate, because this was hopefully, everyone in the world had their fingers crossed that he would get his 20-year buckle this year. This would be sad on a tandem, especially because that would normally mean that both people would be eliminated. But Dr. Dan Hoops, which is why the team was called Double Doc, rode the tandem the rest of the way on his own. Frankly, I can't even imagine that. And, you think of a tandem, it is unweighted in the back if you were the only person riding it, because you got to ride it in front so you can steer. How do you do it? I don't know, but he did it, and he crossed the finish line in plenty of time to get his buckle. I know he is working on his own 10-year buckle. So amazing effort, and lots of good wishes to Doc, so that hope to see him next year take another crack at that 20-year.
All right, two other veterans of the Leadville Trail 100, Roxanne and Ty Hall. They rode together this year, and we had Roxanne, if you want to hear her story. It's a great one, back in season 4, and Ty Hall. I think we all know Ty Hall. Well, the Halls crossed together in 11 hours and 38 minutes.
Yeah, the Hammer and I ran into them as they raced together on the course. It was awesome to see Ty and Roxanne riding together. Up until this point, of course, Ty was always on a mission, being the Dreamchaser. This time, they got to ride it together, and that is awesome. And I considered, as I was riding and we saw them, that if Lisa and I went on a double date with Roxanne and Ty, that double date would represent 93 Leadville finishes.
Okay, 2025 was the year that the race got a new Dreamchaser. So Ty Hall has left it behind. For 9 years, he started at the back and passed as many riders as he could to raise money for the Leadville Trail 100 Legacy Foundation. As the Dreamchaser, Ty passed over his career 12,660 riders and raised $609,089. But this year, it was time to pass the torch. Taking over at the back of the pack was Jeff Spencer of Leadville, Colorado.
Well, for the longest time, Ty Hall had this job and did a great job at it. And when he said, I think I'm done, I don't know how many men or women put their hand up, but you did. And so why did you?
You know, I'm a teacher at the high school. I've been teaching at the high school for 15 years. I'm a Nordic coach. I'm a mountain bike coach. I have gotten to see firsthand over all the years that I've been in Leadville the significant impact that the Legacy Foundation and the money from the Dreamchaser initiative has on our students and has for our community. Our superintendent likes to say, you know, these scholarships give our students a tailwind that most of them would never get for their next phase in life. And it's, man, I feel so blessed to be able to be a part of that.
What subject do you teach?
I teach high school math.
Oh, good, because you can give them the equation when you go back into
right.
class. How much money would Jeff raise if he passed this many? Would that be a question you'll pose to your students?
Yeah, maybe it's what we do the first day of school on Monday. Monday coming up here.
Oh, you're almost back to school then.
Yeah, we start here in 2 days.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So you decide based on what you've seen to do this. Tell me about your Leadville Trail 100 mountain bike experience prior to becoming the Dreamchaser.
So back in 2012, I did the Leadman Challenge, and that was my first foray into ultra endurance event. So that was my first time doing a 100-mile bike race. That was quite the experience. When I moved to Leadville, when anybody comes to Leadville, you know, the race series, the hundreds, the run the bike, it's man, it really gets you excited. And it's hard not to jump in with both feet. And then after that, I also did it on a tandem with a buddy of mine from town for a couple of years. But it's actually just recently that I came back to doing the Leadville Trail 100 with this new Dreamchaser thing that I get to be a part of.
So you took a little time off from the mountain bike event itself.
Yep, I've been mountain bike racing, doing different events, mostly around Colorado. But just recently I came back to the Leadville race series.
And so prior to today, what was your best time for the 100 mountain bike?
Prior to today, I think it was 8:47.
8:47.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what you turned today?
I haven't had a chance to check yet. I think it might be right around 8:20 or under 8:20.
Beautiful. Okay. And so that was worth a lot of passing, I imagine. Do you know how many you went by today?
It sounds like they just gave me the number. It sounds like just short of 1,600 people.
Just short of 60. Yeah. That's more than used to be the entire field.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That used to be more than the entire field. Absolutely.
Okay. Do you know how much money that's going to be worth for the foundation?
They're still doing that math.
Okay.
I'm hoping it's a number that that Ty's been able to get done in the past for our community. So yeah.
Either the foundation staff will do the math or Jeff's students will do the math. We'll let them figure that out later.
Absolutely.
Speaking of dreams,
Yep.
I'm dreaming of being a dream chaser. For I think a lot of us would seem like a nightmare. First of all, you're following Ty Hall.
Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah, big
Right.
shoes to fill for sure. Big shoes to fill.
And then there's just the fact that you're back there. Everyone knows you're doing this.
Yep.
If you fail, if you crash, if you bonk, if you just have to pull out for some bizarre reason, you get sick on the side, like that's a huge amount of weight, right? Am I right about that?
Yeah, for sure. Like exactly what you just spoke to is what, most of my nerves and anxiety for the race coming up was all those things that you just can't plan for out there. And there's a lot on the line. So yeah, definitely.
So Dreamchaser, does the Dreamchaser stop and take feeds, or does the Dreamchaser do hand-ups?
A little bit of both. Do a couple of hand-ups here and there, and then mostly just at Twin Lakes Dam on outbound and inbound is where I stop and get a little bit more nutrition.
The Dreamchaser also has to probably be an expert in the art of passing. Would you like to share any tips on how to pass on the Leadville course?
I think going up St. Kevin's, I don't want to give away all my secrets, but going up St. Kevin's, stay on the right. Don't be tempted to get sucked into the middle. Really? So on St. Kevin's, which is where, a lot of the passing happens initially, stay on the right. Don't be afraid to get a couple whacks to the face by some pine branches. It's part of the deal for sure. Absolutely.
In fact, I saw you come in with a little scrape on the leg. Did we have a little incident on course?
I think that's I think, and Ty let me know that is a part of the gig. There's going to be a little bit of scrapes here and there from branches, and oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, so next to Keevans, what's the next place where you would say you pass the most people?
Being from Leadville, if you live in Leadville, your superpower is climbing. It's tough for us here to generate a lot of power on the flats, but climbing is what we do well, given that we're acclimated to the altitude, and we just have a lot of climbing to do around here. So I think both going up Columbine and coming up Power Line on the way back is where I felt like I was definitely passing a good number of people.
Right. That's where you're really knocking them off in bulk in those areas, and then ones and twos out on the flats and pipeline and so forth.
Yep.
Well, I think it probably in addition to the raising the money and the gratification you get out of that, being on course as the Dreamchaser, the vibe must be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely cool. I got to see a lot of students out on course today. They're there cheering me on. I got a lot of colleagues from the high school here at the finish line congratulating me. Yeah, it's quite the experience.
And the fellow racers are all behind.
The fellow racers, I can't say enough about them today. They were super supportive. Yelling ahead. The Dreamchasers come. I can't tell you how many times on St. Keevans someone was yelling up the road. Dreamchasers coming! Get out of the way! It's so much fun. The racers are one of the most motivating factors out there during the race for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, Jeff, congratulations. I hope you have many of these in you in the future, and you keep raising great money and great vibes for Leadville and the foundation.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to this new thing I got in my life.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
And congrats to Jeff and the Legacy Foundation. And if Jeff's students got his Leadville 100 math quiz right, then they would have come up with the number 125,000. That's how much Jeff raised in passing 1,585 of you. Way to go, Jeff. Amazing stuff. Another Jeff, by the way, Jeff Leanhout's been on the show, season 4. You remember Jeff. He was our Subway sandwich guy. Yes, he stops at Twin Lakes Dam and eats a Subway sandwich. Takes his shoes off, too, for a quick break. Gets back on and usually comes in at a comfortable time. This year, it was 11 hours, 42 minutes.
I think that puts him within one of getting his 3,000-mile buckle. I think that is next year, Hottie.
Okay, go Jeff.
Yeah.
All right. All right, some other notable times and categories. The fastest citizen racer was also one of the race's youngest. That's Ethan Shuri, 18 years old. You got to be 18 to race the thing. He came in at 6 hours, 56 minutes, make that, and 30 seconds. And the fastest woman non-pro was Megan Carrington, 8 hours, 26 minutes, 56 seconds. Our senior citizen on the day, at least for women, was 65-year-old Susan Lynch, 11 hours, 24 minutes, I should say. And the oldest men, well, it's going to be a little tough to figure out because Robert Featherston and Carrie Robbins are both 72. So I think we need to go to the birth certificates and figure out who was born in what month there, because both of them came in, and we had an 11:02 and an 11:38 respectively. So we don't know which one though is the oldest there precisely within the day, and that's important to figure out.
Oh, well, congratulate both of them, at least provisionally. How about that? Let's talk about some of the last bucklers. Thomas Krall with an 11:58.52, leaving him a comfortable margin of 1 minute and 8 seconds to get that buckle. That is amazing. As far as the last of the big buckles, Casey Vetter was right on the mark at 9 hours even, down to the second. There were others who were close, but did not quite get it. They were still under 9 hours and 1 minute. Chard Markham, Graydon Abel, and Brent Lockhart. As you mentioned, Hottie, I am glad, too, that it is not my job to tell those people they did not quite make it. 4 para-athletes finished. Christopher Self was the fastest with a 10:11. 10 male single speeders finished. Brent Randall was the winner with a 9:06. 2 women were on single speeds. Erin Hoban was the quickest with an 11:25. Congratulations to all those single speeders. I hope to join you next year. The fastest 10 was the Team GQ Racing Bucket List Baby. Mark Quist and Devin DeBoer got a 9:05. Congratulations to them.
Okay, our celebrity spotting of the day was Michaela Schifrin. You know Michaela? You should. She's the winningest World Cup skier of all time. She is the GOAT on skis going through gates. Michaela was not racing. She was spectating for her brother, Taylor, who turned in a 9-hour, 27-minute time. So congrats to the Schifrins on that. Okay, that wraps up our, times and stories portion of the show. We're going to move on to something here real quick because we got a little note from Tamara Genlink, who runs this race. And she wanted to share a message with you folks. And this concerns some of the clothing that's left behind at the start line. There's a pretty big pile of it that you can notice if you go back by the Leadville official store where it's all kind of piled up and left. Of course, it doesn't end there. Where they find it is usually near the start line or on the courthouse lawn or what have you. And this is something we've talked about before on the show. Like we've said, don't bring expensive clothes to the start line because you can always toss them aside. Well, evidently, Tamara says tossing aside clothing instead of handing it off to someone is not okay and sends a message of disrespect to the community. She said, Tamara did, it's also just one more thing they have to deal with.
Yeah, I love that Tamara's so attuned to the town's perception of the race and agree. We racers need to do everything we can to show respect to the community. And there are a lot of people out there on the course in the starting corrals who are standing there for a long time in the morning, and it's cold. And we need to wear something so that we don't have hypothermia before the race begins. Other events that I've raced, like the New York City Marathon, big events, they have clothing donation bins that we can toss these unwanted, unneeded anymore jackets and track pants as we get close to that starting line. In my personal opinion, Lifetime should adopt a similar strategy, make it a win for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like an easy fix, having bins in each corral where, hey, toss my jacket in the bin, and then you're off and running, and then those bins end up with a good charity somewhere. So it seems like there's a good fix here that would satisfy everyone. Okay, I think that's it for this episode. And I don't know when there's going to be a next one yet. There might be something. Who knows? You should keep this channel wide open and be ready for content to hit your feed anytime. Because while this show was not as regular as it was in years past, we still did produce some episodes that we think are worthy of you keeping around and keeping in your feed for future use. Fatty, I kept hearing that. In fact, out on course, I had a gentleman cross the finish line and come right up to me and goes, I've listened to every one of your episodes at least twice. Every one. So that's what, like 300 listens or something like that, right?
He's the guy. Thank you. Thank you for listening. No, I heard a number of times as well that people find value in this show. And that is super kind to hear. Never would have stopped doing the show if I didn't have pressing stuff that I got to do just in my personal life. So if we can come back, we definitely will. And meantime, Hottie's still carrying the torch, which I very much appreciate. Everyone, thanks so much for listening. If you had a great day on the course, if you had a bad day on the course, let us know. If you made your goal, you didn't make your goal, let us know. Until next year, good luck with your training, your recovering. Hope to see you in 2026 at the starting line.
Out of Alpine, Utah, Lisa Nelson and Eldon and Nelson. 1,000-mile athletes out there. Lisa Nelson, well done.